Welcome to the Software Carpentry screencast on databases using Microsoft Access. This screencast is on filtering results from a database. As we've seen in a previous screencast, we can use simple queries to pull out columns from a table and add computed values to the results. One of the most powerful features of a database is the ability to filter through your data to find the records that match certain criteria. Let's say we wanted to see all of the experiments before the year 1990. To do this, we'd write a query with all of the columns from the experiments table and use the criteria row to specify our filter conditions. To do this, we add the criteria less than 01/01/1990 to the experiment date column. This specifies that we want only experiment info with an experiment date before January 1st, 1990. We can think about how this query works as the database inspecting each row from the experiments table and checking it against the condition in the criteria. If the condition holds true, then that row is included in the results. Otherwise, it is filtered out. We can use other comparison operators in our filtering conditions. For example, we could ask for all of the experiments in the table that took 3 or more hours. To do this, we remove the criteria from experiment date and add the criteria greater than or equal to 3 to the hours column. We can use most of the familiar comparison operators, equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, and so on. We can also make our filters even more sophisticated by combining criteria for multiple columns. For instance, if we want to find all of the experiments run by Mlom that took more than 3 hours, we can modify our query. It already filters for experiments that take more than 3 hours. So we can add the additional criteria that need to be met, that the login ID is Mlom. Including multiple criteria in the same row is like saying AND. Each record return must now satisfy 2 conditions. In this case, the hours spent has to be greater than 3, and the login ID has to be Mlom. If we wanted experiments either by Mlom or by BEST, we could write this into the criteria row using the keyword OR. We could also do this by listing the different criteria for each column, 1 per row. But this can be confusing because the database checks the criteria for each row on its own. So if we don't copy all of the criteria we want onto each row, we may get unexpected results. Another way to write this OR clause is to use the IN operator. With this operator, we can write a condition that is true if a field, the login ID in this case, contains anything from a list of values. So we'd write IN and then provide the list of values Mlom and BEST in parentheses. This is exactly the same as writing out the OR clause, but it's shorter to write and easier to read. In this screencast, we've shown that you can select data from a table and then filter those rows based on true and false conditions using the criteria row.